So, hello and welcome. My name is Katie, and I have Aileen Martinez here. She is from Rise Up Bookkeeping. We connected through social media, and I wanted to invite her on the channel to talk about all things remote online notary, and then also a little bit more about her business and why she got started. So, thank you for coming on.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Katie. I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah. So give me a little bit of an outline as far as, how you started and then what made you decide to incorporate Ron into your business.
Of course. So I've been in business a little bit over 3 years now. I started with the whole pandemic and all of that. And at Rise Up Bookkeeping, what we do is that we ignite business growth with more profit and more time among women-owned service-based businesses. So we do that by handling their financials, managing their bookkeeping, making sure that all of their numbers are in order. And then one of the things that happen is like always, you're always talking about trying to figure out different income streams in your business. Our phones are listening. So I actually got some ads on Instagram, and my mom got the ads on Instagram, and she's like, "Hey, what is this like remote online notary thing?" Because she's always been a notary, like for 12 plus years. So she's like, "Okay, like maybe this is something that we can do." And I looked more into it. I actually found your course. I found you on social media. I went through the process of becoming a notary myself and then a remote online notary here in the state of Florida. I'm also in South Florida. And basically, it's been great. We were able to find your course. I had all the guidance that we needed. So literally step by step, everything that we needed to know about Ron was there. So it was amazing. And then once we got through that, it's been a matter of like connecting with you and the community and just getting our feet wet with all of this, like being able to get everything set up, all of our systems and processes. So being in business already, like I had to do all of this from scratch and learning, like with my bookkeeping business, okay, what systems am I going to use? What tech? What are my processes? How am I going to take in new leads? How am I going to do that? So I kind of had a background on it, but your course just gave it to me like in chewed up bites, like perfectly set up so that I can just be like, okay, so I have to set up my Calendly. So now I have to set up my invoicing. Now I have to set up this and this. So, like it had a checklist. And it was perfect because I'm like, okay, I know that systems need to be in place from my experience, but you gave it to me, perfectly set up so that I didn't even have to worry about it. So now we already have it set up. We have our Instagram. We have all of the stuff in place. It's just been a smooth ride. First run is today, actually, after this recording. So it's been amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Of course. I'm so happy. I didn't know that I was okay. I'm so happy. I'm going to cry. Anyway, okay. So thank you for that endorsement. That's really sweet. I'm glad that everything went through because what you're saying is exactly why I made the whole entire course, because I had no idea what I was doing. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make a resource for people that don't know how to set things up. And so I'm so proud of you that you already have your first run. So can I ask a little bit more about like how you kind of found that lead and then how you converted them to remote online notarization?
Of course. So it was actually a family friend. So we had actually gone ahead and posted about it. And it was the whole, like everyone was sharing, like, here's a new business, everyone's promoting that first post. And someone reached out and they're like, hey, we have like a partnership agreement. I'm actually getting this set up. I'm in Florida and my partner is in Washington. So we were trying to figure out how do we get, all of our partnership agreement and everything settled, like who was going to travel to who, how are we going to get this, and plus it's a new business. So all of those extra costs of like flying either to Washington or down to Florida, how is that going to work? So it was like perfect timing finding our page. And we were like, hey, we can totally help you with this. Like you can each be in whichever one of your locations, and then we'll be able to help you from our location. So it was perfect like that. They booked through the Calendly link. They got all of the, all of the workflows of like, here's your reminder email, here's your reminder text, like everything worked smoothly from like the first time. Thanks to you.
I'm so happy that worked out for you and that you did everything because, sometimes I have, and life happens. Sometimes I have people that take the course and they don't always do that, but it is so helpful to like have everything kind of like, with the workflows in the background where you don't have to work as hard because, for the most part, there are some people that do this full time, but there are a lot of us that are doing a lot of things all at the same time, like being a parent, running different businesses, have different responsibilities. So, yeah, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So then, as far as marketing, have you? I'm also proud that you have been doing stuff on social media as well, because um, it can be hard. Like, how did you get over that initial hurdle of like, were you nervous about posting about your business, or were you just like, yeah, I'm here and I'm excited about the business?
So it's been a little bit of both. Um, because I have the experience with my first business, I definitely had more nervousness with that one. So I've overcome that hurdle a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken courses on like building my brand and doing stuff like that, like all of these different things. So it's definitely been a hurdle in that sense of like that I've gotten over, but it is a completely new business. And it's like, why, like it's back to that whole imposter syndrome of like, why are you going to sign with me versus someone who's been doing this for longer than I have? Like I'm a brand new business. So it was definitely getting over that hurdle
Mm-hmm.
of putting it out there. But I feel like once that first post went out, when it's like it's out, who's gonna see it? Like who's gonna comment? Who's gonna share? Like, or am I gonna
Yeah.
get like crickets? What's gonna happen? But it went really well. It was just a matter of like literally, I feel like I like looked away and I was like, okay, I'm gonna press the post button and hope for the best right now.
That's sometimes what I do, like, before I'm about to like post a new YouTube or like, do a post I'm not quite sure about, I'll like post it and be like, okay, it's out there, and then just go do something else
So
because I'm
I'll
so
look back at it later.
yeah, it's like it's fine. Yeah, but that is something that I am always worried about, and like something that I've really had to deal with, especially like if you're starting over, is that when you first start posting, sometimes it is just crickets. Like even in general, like sometimes I'll post something that I know is super helpful, and I'll get absolutely no like replies or like story likes or anything. But then later on in person, someone will be like, I needed that at that time. I watched that like 15 times over and over again just to learn from, whatever it is that I posted. I was like, okay. So yeah, if you're on the fence, just post it because it is helpful, and you never know like which thing is going to really help your business take off or like find the right person on social media. So, because
Yeah.
like it or not, we're pretty much all on it anyway.
All the
Um,
time.
yeah, so you might as well use it for your business and use it for good. So yeah. But I wanted to run into a little bit more about your something that you had mentioned to me, and that is money mindset. So could you go into a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. So that's one of the things that I'm super, super like passionate about in my bookkeeping business. So it's so much more than just keeping your numbers in track for your business. It's like everyone thinks it's like, oh, bookkeeping is just so that I can file my taxes, right?
Hmm.
And it's so much
Yeah.
more than that. You want to be able to see where your money's coming from, where your money's going, what's being profitable, what's not, what's working. You want to be able to paint a picture with
Hmm.
your numbers to be able to see that, right? But a lot of the times what happens is that not only is the fact that people don't have their bookkeeping and they don't have the financial foundation in place, they also don't have the mindset to take in more money, right? So a lot of people are from the mindset of like they're upbringing, they're growing up and they have the mindset of, money is evil. I don't deserve to make enough money. I'm always going to be poor. I'm always going to live paycheck to paycheck. And it's like these limiting beliefs that keep them stuck.
Hmm.
So I actually have a newsletter. It's called the Money Monday newsletter. And what we focus on is exactly that, your money mindset and reframing it and different things that you can do to do that. So I love to share like some tips with your viewers that have worked for me and that have worked for other people that are on my newsletter. So
Hmm.
one of the things that we always tell people is that to go from a scarcity to an abundance mindset, the first thing to practice is gratitude. And it sounds like so overplayed, so overused. Everyone's like, oh no, manifestation this and gratitude that. And, it's like, but why do you think that all these people who are making all this money keep repeating the same thing? It's because it's working, right?
Hmm.
So it's not about being stuck in what I don't have. It's more about focusing on what I do have, leveraging those resources, being grateful for it, and then being able to tune into that frequency where I'm attracting more, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I always tell people is like, keep a journal, right? Any little journal that you have like on your desk, in your drawers, in your purse, a little journal. It's not about, oh, I'm going to journal 15 minutes a day and no. At the beginning of your day, you wake up, 3 things that you're grateful for. Today, I'm grateful for, meeting with you and sharing our expertises with your community. I'm grateful for the first round that we have today. I am grateful for my sleeping babies that are allowing me to be able to get on this call. 3 things just off the top of my head. And it could really be anything. It could be business related. It could be personal. It could be anything. And then throughout your day, as you're working or something happens, celebrate the little wins. We always have like this big goal that we want to get to. And it's like we're looking at it and we want to get there. And it seems so far away, but we're not realizing what the legacy that we've left behind, all of the little wins, all of the little steps that it's taken for us to get there. Right. So that's the other thing that you can do. So like, hey, someone reached out and you got a lead, whether that lead closes or not, you want to tune into that frequency of, oh my God, I'm abundant. I'm bringing in these leads. I deserve to bring in these leads. I am grateful for these leads that are coming in, all of these different affirmations. And you can write it down. Like, here are my wins for the day. I got a lead, like my post got 20 likes, like whatever it is. So definitely incorporating that more into your practice. And then of course, when you have that belief in your system and you're bringing that stuff in, having the numbers to back you up tells your brain, hey, this is actually working. So as you start bringing it in, you start invoicing people, you do all that stuff, keeping track of the numbers is going to back up that money mindset even more, because you're like, whoa, I just grossed X amount of money. I just made $300 in a day. Like you have all of these things that are backing up those beliefs. So eventually your mindset starts switching to where it's automatically going into that abundance mindset, and you don't have to work to switch from scarcity over to abundance.
No, I 100% agree with that, because in the very beginning, like I was like, why are all of these people talking about, being grateful and like changing their mindset? But it really does make a difference, because it's very easy in business to only focus on, some of the bad things. But then if you really take a moment to reflect and look at all of the accomplishments that you've done, like even to just post that first post, or be confident enough to take on a Ron signing, that is something that is huge, that, you might not have been in the same place like, 2 or 3 months ago, to where you've grown as a person enough to be able to have that capacity. So I 100% agree. I write down my goals. Actually, I have it over here, of different goals that I have, just as a reminder, because it's fine to have it up in your head, but I agree it is better to write it down just so that you can see it and visualize it. So yeah.
No, and I love that you write down your goals, because that's the next thing. You have like a history, something that you can go back on, and if you dated this a year ago, and you're like, hey, let me look through my notebook to see what's going on. And next thing you know, you're like, oh, but I accomplished this, and I accomplished this, and I accomplished that too. And you don't even realize that you're in a place where you wish to be X amount of months, years ago. You don't know, you don't realize it until you actually sit down and reflect, like, oh, I did get this done. Because we're always in that go, go, go mentality of like, okay, what am I going to accomplish next? And who's the next escrow agent I'm going to talk to? And who's the next lawyer I'm going to talk to? And it's like, but you already got these. Be grateful for these. I'm not saying don't go for more. Of course, go for more. Make all of us. But sit down, reflect on those, and then move forward.
And I think also, to your point, there is a lot to do with who you surround yourself with, or just kind of like the content that you consume. Because there have been times where, I've gone through like a little bit of a period of isolation, and just basically only watch, different content on YouTube about like personal growth and like mindset. And I really do think that has helped me a lot as far as taking on more capacity to work. And then just, the stress that comes with being a little bit more successful, or just being able to take on some of the clients and everything, so that way I can hold space for them. But yes, 100% if you don't have people that are surrounding you, a little bit of a hack for me, is to watch like YouTube of different people that are in the same mindset or have the lifestyle that you aspire to. So that's something that I like. So yeah, I agree. And then there was another thing that we were going to talk about, and let me kind of look it up. Okay, so oh, okay. So another thing that I wanted to highlight and have you talk about is how to add more time into your day, or like basically how to reclaim your time. So do you have any advice for our listeners or for our watchers on this?
Yeah, of course. So I am a mom of two, and I have now three businesses. I have my bookkeeping business, we have the remote online notary business, and then I also have an Airbnb business. So my time is spread very, very thin. But one of the things that I definitely preach on is that there is no such thing as work-life balance. So people may think that it's like, oh, because I'm trying to attain work-life balance and my goal is work-life balance. And it's like, there's no such thing. There's either, like, because at the end of the day, if you put half of your energy into something, you're going to get half of, and like halfway of an output. You're never going to get your full amount of energy that you've been put it into it if your energy is split up and time is split up between too many different things. Right. Yeah. So the idea is I want to be 100% mom at this time. I want to be 100% bookkeeping business owner at this time, 100% run business owner at this time, so that you're actually able to focus your attention and reap the benefits of your rewards and actually be more efficient in the things that you do. Because the more that we're scattered, it's going to take us, something that could have taken us 30 minutes is going to take 2 hours. Right. Yeah. So that's the first thing, making sure that we can allocate specific times and time blocks for the different things that we're doing. The other thing is asking for help. A lot of the times we think that in order for something to get done right, we have to do it ourselves. Mm-hmm. I am the first person that was on that boat. Yeah. Literally, that was me entirely 100%, where I'm like, oh, if I want it done right, I have to do it myself. And I have to make sure that I'm the one doing everything. And I'm going to do the admin, and I'm going to do the marketing, and I'm going to do all of it. As a new business owner, it makes sense to wear all of the hats at the beginning because you're just getting started. It totally makes sense. But as you start going through and you start making money and you start doing the things, there's going to be a point where you get to that you just stay stuck, that you plateau. There's no more growth. There's nothing else you can do because you have no more time and energy and effort to be able to do it. So what happens? That's where delegation and outsourcing and asking for help comes in. One of the things that they say in motherhood that I completely believe in is it takes a village, right? If it wasn't for my mom, for my husband, for my grandparents, for my dad, for, just everybody that I have in my family, I wouldn't be where I am right now with my two kids, right? Yeah. Being able to know that if they were to wake up right now, my mom's got it, So like I have the support, I have the ability to be like, hey, I need help. I need someone to watch the kids, or I need, being able to outsource that. And the same way that we have our village in motherhood, we have our village in our businesses, So in me and my bookkeeping business, for example, I've already outsourced all of my marketing. I hate all of the social media stuff. I hate it. I hate having to figure out what to post and, doing all of that stuff or whatever. So that's one of the things that I've been able to outsource in my business. I have a VA that communicates with my clients. I have all of these different things that I've been able to do to get more time back for myself, and I can actually focus on the income producing activities. I've been able to hire more bookkeepers so that I'm not necessarily in the books myself. I'm in a more managerial role where I like review the work and do all of the stuff. I'm still in it, but I'm not as in it anymore, where it requires all of my time. Right? With the Airbnb's business, I've done the same thing. I've outsourced to a cleaning staff. I have a whole cleaning team and all of that stuff where they handle, hey, we ran out of toilet paper. They're going to go and buy it. I don't have to be consistently worried about all of the little things. And it's the same thing with anyone else in business. And that's why I do what I do in terms of like the bookkeeping, because that's where people need help a lot of the times. It's letting go of managing their books because they don't want to be spending all of their evenings and their weekends, pouring over spreadsheets and bank statements, trying to figure out what's going on with their money. Right. Yeah. And I feel like that's what we do too in the run business. Like instead of, hey, I have to waste time going and finding a notary or going to the bank or waiting in line or just, trying to maneuver my schedule because to make it work on someone else's time, I can just hire a remote online notary and do it at my convenience. Yes. Right. Yeah. So I feel like we're in the business of giving people their time back. And we also have to be in that mindset, not just the money mindset, but the mindset of we can ask for help and we can
Mm-hmm.
delegate and we can do things that are going to help us get our time back and be able to grow.
Well, yeah, and I think yes, to your point. And then the other thing that I have been kind of struggling with is delegating, but then also feeling good about it, because I have um, done that where I delegate. Like someone comes and helps me with the house, and then I have a lawn person and everything, and then I had someone that was like, "Oh, bougie," and it's like, well, no, that's something that I don't really enjoy. And it's taking back more time, so that way I can spend more time with my family or spend more time doing marketing, or so I think that sometimes if you have to justify what it is that you're doing, you might have to look at those connections and those friendships. But yes, 100% delegating is the next natural step to when you start getting busier within your business. So that way you can continue and you can scale and collaborate with other people. That is something that I also always have been struggling with, where it's like I'm in that same mindset. So I'm right there with you, or right there
I
with
love that.
some of the
I love
clients.
that for you. I mean, so is it a bad thing to be bougie? I mean,
Well, that is,
it's
thank
not
you.
even like, it's not even being bougie. It's like, it's one of those things like, I always like to vision myself. I'm like, okay, I want to be like those multimillionaires. What are they doing? They
Yeah,
don't mow their lawn. They don't cook. They
no.
don't clean. They don't do all of these things. Like, if it's something
If
that you
there's,
enjoy, by all means, but
yeah. Well, like that's the thing is like, okay, so for one of our things is, answering emails. Like you can get, depending on your work, you can get a VA that can help and sometimes do a way better job than, me as who I am, like, running around doing all of the marketing or going out in person into events, like making sure that those emails aren't missed. So there's a ton of different things that you can start delegating. Now, do you have a specific point that you would recommend for people to start delegating, like at a certain point within their business, or just whenever they kind of feel ready, or they feel like they're running around with like a million fires?
yeah, I mean, I definitely don't recommend waiting to the point where you feel like you're running around like, what is it? Like a chicken without a head. So whatever
Yeah,
that phrase is.
yeah. I couldn't think of it, so I was like million fires. So
Yeah,
yeah.
you're still putting out a million fires, honestly. I totally agree.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't recommend getting to that point.
Hmm.
And it just depends on the different things that are going on in your business, right? So in this case, for like a remote online notary business, uh, definitely, first of all, the first thing that you're delegating is, I would say, is your education, in the sense of like, make sure you get Katie's course and sign up, because that's going to be your first step to like understanding all of it
Yeah.
and being able to like get clear on what are the different aspects of it. So without giving too much away, I mean, you got to go into the course. It's like one of the things is being able to set up as many automations as possible. What
Mhm.
can you do that technology can handle for you, so that before you get to that delegation point, I feel like that's the first delegation is technology, being able
Yeah.
to automate and doing your workflows and making sure your reminders are sent out and all of that stuff, right?
Mhm.
At which point after that, and you might think I'm a little biased, but to me, the next point after that is outsourcing your numbers, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things I always tell people is you have to keep track of your numbers from the beginning. A lot of people are like, no, I don't have a lot of activity. I'll get to it later. It's not that big a deal right now. And it's like, next thing you know, it is later. You've already had to file an extension on your tax return. Right now it's September and October. You've already filed an extension. You're late again. You have to get this stuff done. And then you're scrambling around trying to put it all together. So I would say the first thing is outsourcing, keeping your numbers in order. Once you have someone that's keeping your numbers in order, not only are they keeping it in order for tax season, but like I had mentioned before, you're able to have like the insight into what's going on in your business. So, hey, I'm putting out ads for my remote online notary business and they're not bringing anything in. Let me cut off that cost.
Yeah.
Like it's unnecessary things that you can do in that way. And then after that, I would say definitely would be the VA. After that, you get the VA to come in anytime there's an inquiry for a request. Like people are going to ask you, hey, what are your prices? Instead of you going in and answering, okay, here we go again, same email, blah, 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 you can have your VA answer those emails for you. Oh, they need scheduling or whatever. Let me direct you to the Calendly link. Like you just do the part that you need to do. You go in, you pre-tag, you do all the things in the system. but all the other stuff would be handing it over to the VA.
Mm-hmm.
And then my third would definitely be marketing. So you get to the point where, in-person networking, making that connection, I wouldn't recommend delegating that because it's you're the face of your company and you want to make sure that, you put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to posting on social media, scheduling out posts, designing graphics, or, designing the reels and editing and all of these little nitty gritty things, outsourcing that as well. Of course, you're the only one that gets in front of the camera and you're going to talk and you're going to do the thing, but someone else can edit and post for you.
Mm-hmm.
So
and sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead. Yeah, I was just saying that would be my order of like delegation.
Yeah. And something that I was talking about with someone and he was like, well, I don't want to post because I feel so stupid. Like I don't get anything. And it's like, I felt the same way. And I have had so many opportunities. I mean, this is why we're talking to each other. Like I've had so many opportunities come through just because I've been posting like my stupid little, and they're not stupid because they end up working. But just the reels or the graphics or whatever, like I feel like people sometimes don't think of the long-term thing that you have once you've established your social media as like either an authority or an expert or a really good, reliable remote online notary that knows what they're doing. Like once you establish that, there is a little bit of feeling uncomfortable and feeling like, okay, I'm just putting this out there. Nothing's happening. You never know, the next post could go to someone that is a lawyer that has a giant franchise that this is the first time that he's hearing about Ron and he's going to book a Calendly with you. So just post stuff. And then you'll never know what ends up happening. Social media is crazy in mostly a good way. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. Okay. So another bit of a technical, another bit of a little bit of a technical question, because I know that this is something that is going to come up. How do you recommend to find a VA?
Okay. So that's a multifaceted question. So one of the things that I'm always referral based, like I like to ask my community of people, like, hey, what is it that you're doing? And, what's working for you? So that, it's one of those things that people are sometimes like, oh, because I don't want to get into someone else's business or, ask or be nosy or whatever. And it's like, it's not necessarily that. Like, it's one of those things of like, if it's working for you, why am I going to go out and, go through a good VA, a bad VA, trying to figure out, that would be the first thing. Definitely getting into your community to ask about that stuff. And for my women-owned, businesses, I actually I'm a part of the Seizing Happy Hybrid community, and I could send you all the details. But pretty much it's an amazing community of women entrepreneurs. We're in South Florida, there's in-person events, but there's a lot of stuff online, and there's all sorts of trainings and connections, people in all different industries, that kind of stuff where we can connect and lift each other up, and be able to recommend stuff to each other. So it's always like, hey, do you know a business lawyer? And then someone's going to be able to tell you, hey, yes, I do. Do you know a good VA company? Hey, yes, I do. So it's a matter of, having those connections and having the ability to talk to each other and help lift each other up versus having people in another space where they're like, oh no, I'm not going to share that with you because what if you have more growth than I do or whatever their mindset could be. It's all about collaboration.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, at the same time, there are going to be people that are going to kind of not eclipse, but do better than whatever the next person is. And I always come from the point where it's like, okay, do better than me and then teach me. So it's
Exactly.
definitely 100% of a collaboration where, sometimes I'll check in with my students. I checked in with my student, last week because she had a question about a specific pricing for a law firm, and she was like, yeah, I'm doing XYZ, and she taught me something, and I was like, this is exactly the type of give and take within a community that I wanted, and I was praying for, and I wrote down in my journal of, I'd love to have a type of community that I could both lean on and pour into. So yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. I mean, and congratulations. I saw your your story post that it was like what, over 4,000 people in your Facebook community?
I know. So that's exciting too, because, I've been able to kind of make a little bit of a community as far as, like talking about different things, doing different Zooms, being introduced to different opportunities. So yeah, if you are interested, I'll leave the Facebook group in the description box below, because we talk about, and it's not just about like remote online notarization. Like we introduce different streams of income. Like I just introduced an apostille coach. Like we're about to talk about family law. So yeah, it's a lot of fun in there. So yeah, I like it.
Oh, and then, to go back to what you were saying about the VAs or whatever, like besides referral based, one of the things that I always tell people is like Upwork is an amazing platform. I personally started on Upwork when I started my bookkeeping business to find clients.
Yeah.
I remember, like being the scared person, like, oh, I'm going to post it. I'm going to apply for this proposal and I'm going to do that, So there's always someone, like, it's not always going to be perfect because again, it's like that interview process of figuring out what works for you and who vibes with you and who understands, like what it is that you're trying to do. But like everybody starts somewhere. And sometimes maybe going into like, like when you go on Instagram, it's like VA and you have like these big firms of like offering VAs or whatever. Like you can start small and start like on Upwork, and who knows, maybe you find your VA for life and that's the person that you're their first client and you help them take off and you guys end up growing together and it works out. So yeah, there's just a bunch of different ways to get started with finding people and doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've had some experiences with like the agencies of the VAs, and that wasn't always the best. And then I have found some success in outsourcing some specifics of my work with Upwork people or referral based. So yeah, I agree. I think I will say that a little bit of advice for anyone that might be listening. Try and get if you can, try and get a VA that can do like a specific thing for you within your business, instead of hiring one person to do almost all of the different aspects within your business. Because that was what I was trying to do. And I was like, okay, take these 2 or 3 years of my knowledge and just like, here you go. And that was not working. So if I found out that if I compartmentalize some of the things that I'm doing, so I have, someone that does my editing, I have someone that does some of the graphics for my posts, and then just kind of go from there of like, okay, what could like one person do? So that way, in case that person has to step away, it's just a fact of like putting someone else that can also do, graphics into your business. And it's not like a huge business continuity where, you put all of your time and effort into one VA. So that's kind of my 2 cents and what I've found to work with me. It could be different for everybody's business, but just kind of look into it and see, because it is nice to have a team to kind of lean on when you are busy and running around like, putting out a bunch of fires. So, yeah.
No, I completely agree. It's one of those things that like everyone is good at the one thing that they're the experts on, right? So like you wouldn't hire a plumber to go and fix your car. Like you want to make sure that plumbing, you're going to hire the plumber. For your car, you're going to get the mechanic. Everybody does like their own thing. And I completely agree with what you're saying, because sometimes you do find these VAs that they're like, oh, I do everything. I'm an online business manager. I do admin. I do follow-ups. I do marketing. I do bookkeeping. And I'm like, you do it all? Like, what's your expertise? What's your, what's your primary focus? And it's like the same thing. Like I always tell people, I'm like, you need a financial team. Like you don't just you don't just get one person that's going to do your bookkeeping, your projections and your budgeting and forecasting and your taxes. Like that's 3 different people right there that you have to have on your team. So same thing with the VA. You want to have specific people that are going to target different areas of your business.
Yeah, because same thing, like, you have to focus on specific things and they should be able to focus on specific things just so that you have a clear understanding. So that was a huge learning curve for me again, where it's like, okay, I can't have one person kind of try and do all aspects of my business just because it's so complex. And, just to kind of have one person do one specific thing. So that has helped a lot. So yeah, I recommend it. But yeah, so do you have anything else? So I don't know. Yeah, do you have anything else for people that are kind of on the fence about going into the course or just starting their own business in general?
Honestly, I would just say take the leap. Like if you're already here and you're already watching it and you've made it this far, I would say that that's your sign to get started and dive right in.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on your state, it does take a little while. It was a bit of a learning curve figuring out like for example, with my mom, she was already a notary, so it was just the process of doing the run side of things. But I wasn't a notary yet, so I had to go through that process. So
Yeah.
my recommendation is get your application out there. While that's being processed, get into Katie's course, start learning everything you can, start setting up all of your systems and just be ready. Because the moment that that run certification comes in, that it's like, hey, you're allowed to do this, you can just press the button and go.
Yeah.
And you already have everything set up in that waiting phase of your application getting processed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I've had people where they're like, I sent it in and then I did it a little bit wrong and then I sent it back and then, whatever. So definitely you want to be able to start generating income as soon as possible. So learn the steps and then you can go, hit the ground running as soon as you're commissioned. So thank you. Yeah. But thank you for sitting down with me and taking the time and sharing your knowledge. So how do we find you?
I am on Instagram. I am Rise Up Bookkeeping LLC. And then that's where my that's my bookkeeping firm. All of that information and all of my stuff is there. And then we're working under my mom's business for the remote online notarization. So that is Sori Martinez, SORI Martinez LLC on Instagram as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me. And I'll follow up with you to see how your run went.
Of course. I'm super excited for it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.